Someries Castle was constructed on the site of a former 13th century manor house which was owned by William de Someries, who is also believed to be the namesake of the later building. Today, nothing remains of the original medieval manor, apart from a few earthworks in a private garden next to the castle, and even records in the Tudor period described it as nothing more than a ruin. We have however found that the land sites sit on can be just as haunted as buildings themselves, so is it possible that the reports of ghost sightings here are linked to this earlier part of the site's history? It was around 1430 that Sir John Wenlock, who was a Speaker at the House of Commons as well as the High Sheriff of Nottinghamshire and Buckinghamshire, purchased the estate and began work on what was to become Someries Castle. As with many similar buildings of the age, the residence itself wasn't actually a formal castle, but rather a fortified manor house, no doubt constructed as a display of Wenlock's wealth and power, and with enormous brick walls complete with arrow slits, a spiral staircase, and a gatehouse. It would have been an imposing sight to anybody who saw it. What sets the site apart from many of its contemporaries, however, is that it's regarded as one of the first brick buildings in Britain, something that would have really stood out and made a grand statement in the 15th century, and I'm sure another way of Wenlock displaying his immense wealth to both the local towns and villages, as well as high-status guests he would entertain. Between the years of 1455 and 1485, Britain witnessed what's become known as the Wars of the Roses, a civil war fought between the House of York and the House of Lancaster, fighting over control of the crown. It was during this period that many bloody battles took place, one of which was the Battle of Tewkesbury on the 4th of May 1471, and it was here that John Wenlock met his demise. Details of Wenlock's death are cloudy. Some say he was killed in the heat of the battle, and others speculate he was murdered by his own commander, the Duke of Somerset, for his indecisiveness which resulted in the slaughter of many of Somerset's soldiers. Whatever the true story, Wenlock met his end at the Battle of Tewkesbury, leaving his home at Someries Castle largely unfinished, and it's for this reason that many believe his ghost has returned here to complete work on his beloved mansion. As well as the ghost of Sir John Wenlock supposedly haunting the site, many people over the years claim to have heard strange sounds coming from the gatehouse in the chapel. A number of paranormal investigations have actually been performed here over the last 50 years, to varying degrees of success. It's before the castle's abandonment, however, that I believe some of these ghost stories may have their roots. John Wenlock himself was actually said to fuel talks of supernatural events occurring at the castle. He would often ask villagers if they could hear the strange drumming sounds coming from the castle at night, knowing full well that his men would be unloading barrels of whiskey from wagons and drumming on them. Over time, this gave the castle a big reputation of being haunted, and many villagers refused to go anywhere near it at night, exactly what John Wenlock wanted. I certainly wonder if maybe, even to present day, these ghost stories that John Wenlock himself made up, the castle's never really been able to shake its spooky reputation. We were unfortunately treated to poor weather during our investigation, with heavy rain and wind, and this combined with the castle's close proximity to Luton Airport, having aircraft take off every few minutes, meant they would be in for a rather challenging investigation. So we just come back for our night investigation at Someries Castle. I was under no illusion that it was going to be a really difficult investigation. Obviously the airport's right next door to us, there's planes taking off less than every 5 minutes. So we've got that to compete with. The rain's on and off, it's quite windy here, so we're kind of restrained to staying within the buildings, where it's less of a breeze. We've set up bits of equipment up already. We've got a static camera recording, so we're going to do as best we can. It's still light obviously, but You know, it's sort of getting to that time now where we can sort of begin the investigation. It's unlikely other people are going to be coming up here. But because of all these challenges, it does make me already question how reliable some of the earlier investigations here have been.
Well, that's my thought as well, because the first thing I said to you was, what equipment are you going to use? And immediately you're like, you know, no EMF, whatever, stuff like that. And I'm wondering if previous people who've been here have used EMF and they're using that as a reliable source. There's literally power cables there. Like,
I didn't even notice that. I
only just noticed that. But then obviously, yeah, you've got the airport, there's a house there.
Yeah.
Like, this house is down there, around there. So I think, realistically, a lot of the previous stories aren't necessarily as reliable as we first thought.
No.
But there's also the thing of Chinese whispers. One person tells one person, then so on and so on, and then over time it gets distorted and twisted and more things added. So, I mean, I'm willing to give it a go, but yeah, I mean, if nothing's happening after sort of 45 to an hour, then I'm like, we'll do something else.
We'll see it through till it sort of gets proper dark, and then we'll play it by ear. But it's not an easy one to do, really.
I'm hoping that maybe one of the sensors or something like that goes off. Do you know what I mean? One of the motion detectors, because then that's a bit more. You can't, like, that's more factual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that isn't a visual thing that is happening, rather than something like EMF or. Like,
it's something's actually have got to have triggered it. It's not like anything spilling over from the airport or anything like that.
There isn't really a lot of space for us to kind of do much, but
No.
like, it is limited. But we have been to places smaller and, you know,
Santon
things.
Church.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sophie made really good friends with a cow earlier.
2 cows.
2 cows in the field. A cow whisperer.
I think he just wanted to eat me more than anything.
Yeah, so again, the sound of cows walking around the edge easily could be mistaken for footsteps or something moving through the grass. My favourite bit is the spiral staircase.
It's a shame we can't get into them. But sometimes in the job, you've got your limitations.
Is there anybody in the castle? Anybody upstairs? Sir John Wenlock.
It's so... I don't know if it's just because it's not dark yet, but I'm getting nothing so far.
No.
And like, when we first got here, in my head I was like, oh, it's going to get really creepy when it gets dark. But I don't know, it just seems like an old house.
We've got to dusk now, which is when usually stuff starts going a little bit like, ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not getting anything. I'm with you on that. Just feels like a building in a field.
Yeah.
Like, nothing strange about it.
But where did we go when it was you, me and Vicky? And that was the same, wasn't it?
Silverley Church.
Yeah. Like, once we got there and we were like, oh, this is going to be so scary at night. But then when it got to night, we were like, this is just a hangout.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I could see this giving off the same sort of vibe. That it's literally just like a little historic place.
Yeah.
That hasn't got anything paranormal to it. But again, there are times when you go to a place on one day and nothing happens, and you go there again, and oh my god, you go there again and then it's super paranormal. It's just a bit hit and miss with this job.
Is there anybody in this chapel? Anybody that lives in Someries Castle? Or did live in Someries Castle many years ago? Today this place has been reduced to nothing more than a ruin. A building lost in time. Oh! Sophie! Motion sensor.
What?
Motion sensor's on.
Motion sensor? Did you get that on yours?
I've recorded it.
Well, the static has picked it up.
Should have done.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. Things happen when we're not paying attention. Just hoping there's no one in there. There's only one way in and one way out, though. Do you know what you'll have to do?
Oh, it was on again. Unless it's that thing moving in front of it.
Yeah.
I'll stand here and just see if that's the plant. Hope it's not. Right, it's going out now.
Moving quite a bit.
Yeah, but the light's not going on. Yeah, must be.
It's going to be the plant. Made me miss my Boeing 747 taking off now. That was my easy jet.
Oh well, that's debunked.
Well, yeah, debunked that one.
We continued to investigate the castle, but due to the previously mentioned issues, most notably the nearby airport, we soon became aware that we were fighting a losing battle, and that any thorough investigation of the site would be near impossible. And so, around dusk, with increasingly heavy wind and rain, we concluded our investigation. Every now and then we're contacted by one of our viewers who say they've experienced something strange at a location and wonder if we've heard anything about it being haunted. Quite often these places are very out the way, they're not known in the paranormal community and not on any online forums, but many of them do seem to have very high levels of paranormal activity. We were recently contacted by one of our viewers who said that whilst walking through the Wormingford woods, he had a very strange experience. He told us that whilst making his way through the woods, he felt drawn to this very tree behind me. He described how all of a sudden, all of the environment seemed to just fade away, and the only way he described it was comparing it to going into hyperdrive on Star Wars with sort of lights and stars rushing beside him. He strongly believed that there was something unusual going on with this tree and this area. He said he's since brought a number of other people through these woods just on general sort of countryside walks, and they have also been very drawn to this tree and had very strange feelings around it. Now, we've come here tonight, we know absolutely nothing about any of the history on this place, but we thought if strange events seemingly have been happening here, we might be in for a chance of experiencing them ourselves.
So when we first got here, I didn't seem to feel anything in particular about this tree, other than the fact that it is very big and possibly quite old. And I could see why somebody's attention would be drawn to it during the day, but coming here at night time, we didn't notice it, and it took us sort of a few attempts to try and find it. But I'm quite hopeful that perhaps we'll get something, and even if we don't, it's a good little spot just to come and relax.
Hello, is there anybody there? My name's Luke, this is Sophie.
Hello.
I've been told of a few people that have come here and have had quite unusual experiences around this tree. We've come to try and see if we can experience that as well. You've already seen foxes here, haven't you?
Yeah. 2 sets of eyes staring at me as I shine my torch through the bushes. I mean, as far as forests go, it doesn't actually feel as creepy as like when we were first walking down that steep bit. I was like, "Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
This is sketchy." But here,
It's all right
feels
actually. Yeah.
pretty chill, which is odd.
I should have asked what sort of time you came, because it could be in the
Yeah.
daytime. It's just different in the day. Like we've had places. And you remember when we went to Dunwich, and in the daytime in Dunwich, the leper hospital felt
Yeah.
weird, and we went back at night, and it was nothing at night. So maybe it's a daytime thing here. And we are just guessing this is the tree he was talking about.
I mean, this is the biggest tree within the proximity of to where the viewer said
Yeah.
it was. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all the other trees are quite sort of spindly. This is the only sort of whopper around here. So we're just assuming this is the one. And it does stand out.
the only thing I will say is with like eyes adjusting to the dark and stuff like that, you can sort of see, like you can't see what's around you, but you can get like little glimpses of stuff every so often, like in the corner of your eye. But I think it is because obviously you've got the screen from the camera in your face, and then it's pitch black. There's no light around.
No, it's quite away from anywhere actually.
Yeah.
Probably a 5-minute walk from the church, which is the nearest village.
What have you got there?
It's got the EMF meter. See if there is any kind of unusual readings around here.
Just to clarify, both of our phones are off.
Is there anybody here with us? Could you come and try and interact somehow with us? Let us know that you're around the area. Come towards this device in my hand.
There's lots of background noise from wildlife as well, so I'm not entirely sure you could like distinguish any of
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like it's not like there's traffic, but there's mammal traffic.
Yeah, even if we're just walking around, this
Yeah, constant
leaves are crunching.
I have only got 15 minutes on this camera.
Yeah, I'll change the battery. I've got to wear it out.
Anything?
No, nothing at all. In fact, it's lower at the tree.
Are you getting any kind of feeling or anything?
No, I'm not feeling anything around here. Are you some kind of spirit, some kind of energy? Something that's been here for a long time? Are you related to the land here?
Did you perhaps die by this tree? Or were you brought here after your death?
Yeah, I'm not getting anything at all here.
It's been 15 minutes. Normally, in the first 15, we've at least got like a sense of atmosphere.
Yeah, like something, yeah.
Like something won't feel right, but The only thing I'm paranoid about is a bit of this tree coming down on my head.
I think, have you got the stump? Yeah, oh, you're just going to miss it.
Yeah. But there's plenty directly up above. But it's more like birds and squirrels knocking down the conkers or whatever. That's it, I'm gone.
So it's been a really quiet night here. We've not experienced anything at all. Certainly haven't felt anything. Doesn't mean that there's nothing going on in this area. The viewer who pointed this place out to us, and I'm not naming you because I don't want to sort of give you limelight. I didn't know if you wanted to be named in one of our videos, but thank you very much for letting us know about this place. Like I say, we haven't experienced anything. I wonder if maybe at different times of the day there is stuff going on here. We've been to places earlier, like we mentioned at Dunwich. We went during the day and it had a really strong atmosphere. We went back at night and there was nothing. So I wonder if it's a similar place with here. Could as well be different times of the year there's activity. We've found that in other places as well. But certainly on our investigation, we've not experienced anything. But you know, if we're passing by, it might be somewhere just to have a little stop off at and just see if we can catch it at the right time at some point.
Like Luke said, unfortunately we haven't seemed to have got anything tonight, but I mean, I'm still hopeful that perhaps we can come back in the future and we might get something then. I'm definitely going to come back here perhaps during the day with my partner and my little girl, just as a forest walk, you know, see what happens and see if, like the viewer said, that all of a sudden you're just drawn to that tree and everything around you disappears, because I still think that's a really interesting way to have put it. So yeah, I'm hopeful that perhaps things will be different in the day.